I'm in trouble with the FDA over castor oil. In 2021, I had a surgery. After that surgery, I noticed that my voice had changed. It's just an impossibility, and it's exhausting, but we're not taught these things. We're taught, like, here's how you goal set. I couldn't project the way that I once did. It felt like I was always just about to lose my voice. When I tried to raise my voice to yell or just to be louder, I couldn't do it. And then when I was trying to sing songs that I always could hit the note, it was like nothing would come out. It was so strange. And I was losing my voice really quickly. I later discovered that the surgery I had, they believe, caused damage to one of my vocal cords. And after visiting an ENT, actually several ENTs, and extensive testing, they determined that I have a partial paralysis of one of my vocal cords on one of the sides, and that it was likely as a result of the surgery. Now, what that meant is it just changed the quality of my voice. That vocal cord, it just doesn't close all the way. So the other side has to do more work. And it forced me to really strain. I'm a podcaster. I mean, I know this isn't the end of the world. There's a lot worse things that could happen, but I use my voice for a living. I've been making videos and podcasts for, combined more than 30 years. I've been on camera making exercise videos for more than 20 plus years. I've been doing a podcast, I think, for 12 plus years. So people know me by my voice, and it was discouraging. I went to a bunch of different specialists. I got lots of different information, surgery being one of the options that I could consider to restore my voice. But it certainly had more risks associated with it, and I had to evaluate, do I want to risk permanently losing my voice or rehabbing the voice that I have? And I chose to rehab the voice that I have. Because I have to strain to speak, it creates inflammation in my throat. I went to my naturopathic doctor. I was telling her about all of the testing that I've been doing, and she suggested to me that I put castor oil in a pack on my throat to help reduce the inflammation. Now, she did say, listen, there's not any research I know of to support this, but considering what I know and what I've seen anecdotally in my own clients with castor oil, I think it certainly wouldn't hurt. And so I did that for a little while. I was also doing exercises and trying to learn how to speak with my new voice. And it did start to improve a little bit. And I don't know if it was from the castor oil or time or the exercises I was doing, but in the meantime, I started using castor oil on my skin. Now, I was going through perimenopause at about the same time, and my skin was suddenly like an alligator. I would look down and I'm like, how did my great-grandmother's skin end up on my body? What is going on? Overnight, that decline in estrogen just created skin I didn't recognize. And I tried all the fancy, expensive lotions, but it wasn't until I used castor oil that I'm like, what is going on? This is magical and amazing. And like I always do, I started sharing what I was doing with my audience. Now, I looked into castor oil and discovered that people have been using it for, hundreds of years, and that it is one of the best oils available on the market that really locks in moisture, unlike any other oil. And so I felt like the last person to find out about it. I'm like, why is no one talking about castor oil? So I started sharing with my audience how incredible the benefits were to my skin. Now, when I did that, I did tell the story about how I was initially introduced to it for my throat. And I also said, I don't even know if it worked for my throat. I wasn't making any medical claims whatsoever. I just was talking about what it was doing for my skin. I mean, the stuff is inexpensive. It's affordable. It's accessible to everybody. You don't need a prescription. And I have a huge community of women who are, about my age, dealing with the same dry skin and the same kind of issues. So to be able to share with them this super affordable, completely harmless option seemed like the right thing to do. Those videos took off. They got millions and millions of views. The reels, the shorts, the YouTubes, the podcast, everybody started talking about castor oil, including myself. I mean, I was the biggest fan ever of castor oil. Suddenly I noticed a lot of influencers were also making videos and content about castor oil. And I don't know if it's like the white car syndrome, like when you buy a white car, all you notice is other white cars. Maybe people are making this content all along, but I just noticed like everyone was suddenly talking about castor oil. And I was hearing these kind of crazy, wild stories about how it could be used for liver detoxification, to erase the appearance of stretch marks or acne. I heard people talking about applying it inside their eyes and having the castor oil improve their vision, like all these kind of crazy claims. And I thought, this is kind of wild. And when I looked into it, I personally couldn't find any real research to support those things. And just for personal reasons, like, I don't know, I'm kind of a skeptic anyways. So I never tried it for those things. I mean, I had the castor oil packs, but like, I don't know, if I don't think something has real evidence behind it, I'm kind of skeptical. Fast forward, last year, I start getting emails from castor oil companies that are telling people like myself, people who are health influencers, people who make content, that they need to remove all videos about, or all episodes, all content, all everything related to castor oil. Everything must be removed or you risk being fined by the FDA. And I've got like tons of friends who also love castor oil, who are in the same space, who've talked about it and have used it in lots of different ways. And they've also made content about castor oil. So they started reaching out to me and they're like, are you taking down all of your content? I'm like, no, why would I? Everyone was afraid. Everyone was like, I don't want the FDA coming down and fining me $500,000. There were all these rumors going around that the FDA was seizing companies that make castor oil, like seizing their products. And then suddenly it's true. Like I couldn't get the same castor oil products I was once getting. I couldn't get it from my favorite companies. And I was noticing that nobody was talking about castor oil anymore. And many of those videos, like a ton of that content, all came down, which got me a little nervous. But at the same time, I'm an Enneagram 8. So I'm all about fighting for what's right. And I'm like, I never have said anything other than my own personal experience and the ways that I've been able to use it and how it's benefited my skin. And there's like, that's the truth. Let's unpack it. You've probably heard a lot of pretty crazy claims about castor oil.
It's going to actually help lubricate the joint.
It's working for dry eye disease.
It's really well known for treating issues of fibroid tumors in the uterus.
Castor oil has been shown to help with hair loss.
You will begin to see improvement in your eyelashes and eyebrows in just 2 weeks.
Castor oil packs help me heal my whole body eczema.
It can be used for a range of ailments, whether that's endometriosis, fibroids, scar tissue, infertility, gallbladder stones, IBS, liver damage.
And today in this episode, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you why I refuse to take down any of my content. I'm going to tell you what claims I believe are false and perhaps even dangerous. I'm also going to share with you the claims that there aren't any scientific studies to prove them, but like, hello, common sense. Like, do we really need a study to tell us that if you soak your hand in water, your skin is going to get pruny? Like, you know, like certain things are just common sense and we don't necessarily need a study. I'm also going to share with you the things that I legally can tell you that you can benefit from when using castor oil, because I'm still a huge fan. And yes, to cut to the chase, I still use castor oil every single day. I've never stopped using it. I just haven't had a chance to make an updated episode until today. By the way, my name is Chalene Johnson, and this is part of The Chalene Show, which you can watch on YouTube or you can listen to it on your favorite podcasting app. Either way, I hope wherever that's happening for you, whether it's on YouTube or on your podcasting app, would you do me a favor and just real quick, double check and make sure that you're subscribed. It really helps the show. It also helps with good karma for you. Like, it's free and it's a cool thing to do. It's what all the cool people are doing. So quickly double check and just make sure you're subscribed. One of the biggest challenges that the FDA is dealing with is influencers. And I mean, I guess I have to call myself an influencer, even though I hate that phrase. But the fact of the matter is there are good influencers and then there are scammy grifter influencers. And then there are also influencers who I'm sure are great, but they're not being responsible when it comes to understanding the power of their recommendations. People are watching. And when we, meaning someone who's got a following, when we say we're doing something, the public just assumes that we've done our research. It assumes that we are the expert. It assumes that we're being responsible in the things that we're recommending. Don't even get me started on the GLP-1s. Like, that's a whole nother subject. Like, it is making my blood boil that so many very fit, thin influencers are creating videos about why everybody and their brother needs to be on a GLP-1. That doesn't seem responsible to me, especially when we're not talking about potential risks, when we're not talking about possible side effects, or the fact that there are people who have a past or current eating disorder other than binge eating really should not be an ideal candidate for a GLP-1. That's a whole nother video. Will you do me a favor? If you want me to do a serious deep dive into what's going on and why these influencers are all pushing, like, listen, I've talked a lot about GLP-1s and I've talked about Castor and I've talked about a lot of these things, but I think there's a big difference between talking about things and sharing pros and cons and doing so in a very responsible manner versus pushing things, like literally promoting the idea that everyone needs to be on a GLP-1. And I'd love to know if you'd like for me to do a deep dive and help uncover why financially it is so motivating and rewarding for a lot of these influencers to suggest why everyone needs to be on a GLP-1. But that's what happens. Like, people, influencers get involved in this stuff. Things can get messy fast. And a lot of times, I know this because I know a lot of them, they're watching other people's content, regurgitating it, and then making it their own content. And that's how misconceptions and myths get perpetuated. It's why we'll hear one person say, like, oh, castor oil packs can be used to detoxify the liver. And then they'll, put the little pack on their stomach and show themselves going to bed. And then that person's video gets a massive amount of views. And so then the next influencer is like, oh, okay. And they write down notes and then they say all those same things, but in their own words. And then the idea just kind of takes on a life of its own. And we think the more times that we've heard something, the more likely it's true. I'm going to encourage you to stay to the end of this episode because I'm going to go through these claims. I'm going to start by going through uses of castor oil that are very likely true, either because it's substantiated with some scientific research or long-standing use cases with minimal to no risks or adverse side effects associated. Then I'll go into a list of uses that are possible, but at the moment, unproven. And then lastly, and this is the part that's really important, I'm going to go into the uses of castor oil that are pure myth, folklore, not supported by evidence, and potentially very unsafe. Okay, let's start with the basics. First of all, it is actually FDA approved as a laxative. It works by stimulating the bowels. The bowels will start to contract. And in fact, it's been used for hundreds of years as a means of torture, like to give somebody the runs, which isn't very nice. I would say it is very unsafe for anyone to ingest it if you are pregnant. You do have risks even associated with using it as a laxative. So even though it is FDA approved as a laxative, this is crazy to me. Like, don't even get me started on how the FDA works, but it's approved as a laxative, but I do not recommend that you use it as a laxative because this stuff is powerful. So let's start there. It is approved as, and it's proven to be a highly effective moisturizer and emollient, which means that it softens your skin. And the best part about using castor oil is it literally locks in moisture. So I've done a whole bunch of videos talking about the fact that because this is like one of the thickest oils available, like it is so thick. Like, I can't even show you how thick it is, but like it is so thick and sticky and kind of tacky. I'm going to put on my legs that it does have a learning curve to use it. It can be messy. And a lot of people, when they start using it, they're like, ooh, I don't like it. It's kind of like tacky, but like, dude, it's so good if you know how to use it. Also, castor oil is proven to be antifungal, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory. So it is safe to use it for wound care. Not, if you've recently been shot and you've got like a bullet hole, I don't think you're going to be pouring castor oil on top of it. But if you're trying to heal wounds or scars, it has been known to be helpful. There are very limited studies showing that it significantly improves stretch marks or scarring or anything of that matter. However, again, I have videos that have millions of views on them, which means there's thousands and thousands of comments. And like just today, I was going through them and it was like all of these comments from people saying like these most miraculous things that castor oil has done for them. These aren't people who are getting paid. These are just like average Joe Schmoes who are, have been using castor oil, and it's been miraculous for them.
I am not kidding when I say that this has changed my life. Castor oil. I have lost weight, decreased inflammation and joint pain. My stretch marks are practically gone from my previous pregnancy. My neck looks so thin. I don't have melasma anymore, and my skin is glowing.
Because it is antifungal and it is antibacterial, there have been small studies showing its effectiveness and how the properties can help in healing. Personally, this is just anecdotal. After my breast lift surgery and the wounds were closed, I did use it with the permission of my surgeon on those areas. And to this day, I still use it on any place where I've got scarring, or, I use it to massage my thighs. I use it to keep my skin nice and moist. We know that it is very soothing. Again, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antimicrobial, and it's antifungal. So it's common sense would tell us that we don't really need a study to know how those things are beneficial. But there are very limited studies. Why would there be a study? Because there's no drug company that's selling castor oil. I really would if you own a castor oil company, everyone who's watching this video right now would love to help support you, fund a study so that we know once and for all some of the things that we all, by reading the comments, you'll see there's so many ways that people say they've benefited from castor oil. It's not studied. So the FDA is not allowing any influencer or anyone or any castor oil company to make any of these claims, because these things, what I'm about to go into, have not been proven to be true based on a clinical study, a double-blind placebo study on humans. Have there been studies on animals? Yes, there have. We also know that it is a safe and effective carrier oil. That's why you're going to find it in many cosmetics. Like, I put my castor oil directly on my lips. This is the one that I use. It has a rose quartz applicator. You don't want to use this with plastics. So this company this is one of the reasons why I use this company, is because they are this is Queen of the Thrones. And I've talked about them before. And Queen of the Thrones is one of the companies that, like, I couldn't get anything from them. Like, suddenly everything was gone and people started buying it from Amazon. As I've told you so many times, like, don't buy stuff from Amazon. I know sometimes the companies even tell you to go buy it from Amazon, but don't. Have you seen some of the documentaries about all of the dupes on Amazon? Well, so anyways, what happened is a little bit of an interesting side note. This is interesting. So the FDA cracks down, right? And all these castor oil companies the big guys, they want to comply. They don't want to get in trouble with the FDA. So they start, I think, looking into everything and probably changing claims on their website, their packaging. I don't know. This is all me hypothesizing. And because I and a lot of other people couldn't get a lot of these products, dupes started popping up, like companies from China creating labels that look just like the brands that we all know and love, look just like it. And also like producing this, but it wasn't a rose quartz. It was actually plastic. So then consumers are getting these things and they're complaining to the company that they think it came from, but it didn't even come from them. It's like all of these dupes. It's just another reason why go directly to the company itself. I'll put Queen of the Thrones link below. You know what I'll do? I'll put a QR code on the screen. That's like a new thing that we're doing. So if this is the first time you've watched one of my videos with a QR code and you're with my mom right now, if you can tell my mom, all she has to do is, Mom, open up your phone and point your camera. If you're watching it on the TV, just point your phone camera at the QR code and then tap on it and it'll open up the website. Or Mom, if you're watching this on your phone right now, just take a screenshot. You know how to do that, right? Yeah, you just take a screenshot. And then you can open up your camera roll and tap on that little QR code and it'll take you there. Anyways, I did talk to the folks at Queen of Thrones. In full disclosure, I love them and they've also given us a discount. I'm an affiliate for Queen of Thrones. I haven't made any of these crazy claims and I really do appreciate any company that cares enough to investigate these things and to comply. But I do wish that Queen of the Thrones or any other castor oil company would do some research. Like, really, let's do some double-blind placebo clinical trials to prove some of this stuff. Back to what I was saying about castor oil being used as a carrier oil. It's in a lot of our major cosmetics. In fact, I use Fenty lip oil, and I was like, why does this smell and feel very familiar. It's got castor oil in it. Very quickly, now I'm going to go through a list of other claims people have made about castor oil, and I need to tell you that I could not find any evidence, any scientific evidence to support these claims. However, again, if you just look below any of the videos that I'll link to in my show description, you'll see there's like hundreds and hundreds of people saying like all of these things, castor oil worked for them in these ways. The improvement of hair growth, and that would include on your head, lashes, and brows, widely claimed. Like so many people have said that castor oil brought back their brows.
If anyone has doubts on whether or not the castor oil works, we can already see from week 1 to week 2 that there is a visible difference. It's just really voluminous. It's regrowing.
That it relieves menstrual cramps and pain from endometriosis, arthritis, or other joint pain.
The heat in the castor oil is going to actually help the castor oil penetrate into the tissue. It's going to actually help lubricate the joint. It's going to help provide flexibility to the tissues, and it's really going to help your arthritis.
Again, so many people have said that they use those packs in different areas where they have joint pain. And here's what I need to say about that. I know that there's no scientific studies for that, but it's an oil. So like, there's no dangers or risks involved. The only risks associated with applying it topically is if you have an allergic reaction, which is very rare. But, you know, I mean, you could have an allergic reaction to your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to know your own skin, but what would be the harm? The harm might be if you were to assume that you've heard somebody make one of these claims and then you deny yourself the opportunity to seek medical advice or a medical intervention. You've got like 5 minutes with them and then they rush you out the door. Can I suggest to you an alternative, especially if you are a woman who's dealing with perimenopause or menopausal symptoms, and that is MIDI Health. MIDI Health has been a partner of the Chalene show for, I think, almost a year now. And I'm so proud to be partners with them because this is a company founded by women, for women, and they care exclusively about our hormones and our health as we age. Like that's their sole purpose. In fact, one of their most popular appointments you can do is called an Age Well appointment. And this allows you to talk to your clinician about like what's going on with your hormones. And what about your bone health? And hey, I have this weird thing happening with my hair. Or, you know, I don't really feel comfortable talking to the male doctor that I've had for 30 plus years about the fact that I am dealing with some dryness. You know, like all of those, it's so nice to have a woman who really understands what it is you're going through and who's been specifically trained to address those things. So whether it's an Age Well appointment or maybe you want a complete workup on your hormones, like to figure out where are you, or maybe you want to have a DEXA scan ordered so you know what your body fat is and your bone density, where you're carrying visceral fat, everything. And you won't feel rushed. You will actually work with a clinician who will listen. And isn't that nice? They do accept insurance, almost all major insurance companies, and they are in all 50 states. So check them out. You can go to chalene.com/MIDI and schedule yourself an appointment. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can simply point your camera at the QR code and that'll open up a website where you can book your appointment. Or you can take a screenshot of this YouTube video while it's on your phone, and then you can open up your phone later and click on that. We are just so techie over here. That it reduces scars and stretch marks. Again, no real studies, significant studies to prove that. Lots and lots of anecdotal, even my own personal experience. I've heard people talk about how it soothes eczema and psoriasis.
Castor oil packs help me heal my whole body eczema flare up because it helped me resolve my gut dysregulation. It helped me to heal my liver and that detox pathway, and the results have been amazing.
And can even soothe acne, which to me feels counterintuitive. Like just putting oil on any acne seems like, oh my God, wouldn't it just explode? But again, so many people have said that because it's antifungal, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory, that it actually heals acne, not supported by research.
Just putting a little bit over acne, that will help bring more tissue oxygenation and circulation into that area, and will help the lymphatic system drain waste, drain toxins, drain bacteria.
That it improves gum health via oil pulling and whitens teeth. I did a whole episode dispelling that. I have used it myself for oil pulling. I don't currently because, I don't know, I just didn't notice that much of a difference. But again, There's really very little studies on castor oil specifically. There are some studies on oil pulling that didn't use castor oil, but frankly, if you look at the ingredients of castor oil, it's like the most superior oil on the planet that I'm aware of today. Okay, it soothes mouth sores. Again, if you're putting something in your mouth, though, that causes loose stools, please be careful. And then lastly, that it can improve sleep via putting packs on your navel or across your stomach.
Castor oil promotes sleep. It's really great for helping relax the body. It's soothing and stress relieving, and it promotes the lymphatics, which also helps to support sleep enhancements.
This one I'm going to tell you from my personal opinion is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, is that putting castor oil on your body will burn body fat. That one, come on. No. Like that defies common sense. Like, you don't know how the body works if you believe that to be true. That one's ridiculous. In my unprofessional opinion, that one is silly. That it can improve digestion and can reduce bloating. Again, lots of people have said that. I don't know how that would work by applying it across your belly, but
Castor oil's been used to reduce constipation, reduce nausea, and enhance digestion.
and there's no science to support that. But what's the harm in it? You're going to wake up with a smoother belly and skin that's moisturized.
It can be used for a range of ailments, whether that's endometriosis, fibroids, scar tissue, infertility, gallbladder stones, IBS, liver damage.
Let's talk about pure myth or folklore, and some of these can be quite dangerous. The first is liver detoxification and lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic drainage is an interesting topic. There hasn't been a ton of scientific studies on lymphatic drainage, but again, if you're using it in conjunction with massage, I don't see how that could hurt you. But in terms of detoxifying the liver, again, there is no biological evidence to support this. You'll hear people say, oh, I had people in clinic and it worked for them.
By wearing your castor oil compress over the liver area, which is the right-hand side of the body, you are increasing circulation to the area. So you're increasing blood flow, nutrients and oxygen, which will help the liver function optimally. You're also decreasing any inflammation, and you're also improving the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system works really closely with the liver. It's the drainage system in the body, and it works closely with the liver to detoxify all our toxins.
In terms of weight loss and burning belly fat, that's just not possible. That one's ridiculous.
If you are struggling with that belly fat, which is usually the most difficult to deal with and to eradicate, this hack is really going to help you. Now, what it involves is castor oil.
That it can balance your hormones. There's no mechanism or data to support that, so that feels like an outrageous claim, in my opinion. That it can cure tumors and cysts. I read that today. Like today, as I'm going back through my older videos, I saw person after person say, I applied it to a cyst repeatedly, consistently, and my cyst completely shrunk. I'm not telling you that that's true. I think it is very dangerous to not know what a tumor is or a cyst is. I'm encouraging you to have that evaluated by a medical professional. And will castor oil shrink it? There's no study to support that. That's what I have to say. That it reduces eye strain or conjunctivitis. This is not safety proof. Every single one of these, I guarantee you, there's somebody who will say it worked for them. But you have to balance that against the possible risk. And I think the most significant of those risks is thinking that you can heal something naturally and not getting at least a medical provider to oversee or to, say like, okay, this is perfectly safe if you want to mess around with this. You have to know what it is you're dealing with. Like, what is this? What is that tumor? Is it benign? Is it something you need to worry about? What is that cyst? Is it something you need to have removed? I should also note that there are really no studies that exist to show that castor oil can improve fertility, yet lots of people have said that that's the thing that helped them get pregnant. I'm just going to tell you that I don't know if the stuff works that way, but there aren't any studies to support that.
You can do at home to improve your fertility. And maybe you've heard that castor oil packs over your uterus is a really great tool that you can use at home to improve your fertility. Well, this is true. In fact, you can do castor oil packs of your uterus as well as your liver to improve fertility.
The claim is that by applying castor oil to the pelvic region, that it improves circulation, that it reduces inflammation, that it just gets blood flowing. And yeah, I don't know. I have complete empathy for anyone who's struggling with fertility, and I can imagine how you'd want to try absolutely anything, especially something that's all natural. And so, is there any harm to applying castor oil to your abdomen if you're trying to get pregnant? Nothing that I could find. No adverse interactions, no negative side effects other than you might stain your sheets, because this stuff is messy. And there are ways to use it so that it's like any oil. All oils have the potential to stain your clothes, right? Like if you put oil on a sensitive fabric, it's going to stain your clothes. So there's lots of little tips and suggestions that I've given you in my previous episode on how to use castor oil that I think will be very helpful if you want to avoid it being kind of messy. And I think this is especially true when it comes to your eyes and your vision. Personally, I just don't think we should mess with our eyes without first consulting an ophthalmologist and finding out if in fact if we're a good candidate and if there's something else that we might consider. I'm not putting anything in my eyes, let alone oil. But again, you're going to see people saying they swear by it. It's inexpensive. It's been used for hundreds of years. And I think there's a general distrust of big pharma. A lot of people have speculated that it was big pharma who is behind this castor oil witch hunt. There was literally a castor oil witch hunt. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands of influencers were told that they were going to be fined if they didn't remove all of their castor oil videos because of health claims that they were making. I didn't take any of mine down, by the way, because I wasn't making health claims. I was just telling you this stuff is freaking fabulous for your skin. And I stand behind that statement. Here's the bottom line. If there is a particular claim that you've heard somebody make about castor oil, it is likely that there's no study to support it. I think the responsible thing for me to tell you is this. Castor oil can be used on your skin. It's miraculous, in my personal opinion, at helping to keep moisture in the skin and minimizing dry skin and the signs of aging, etc. But the FDA only recognizes castor oil as safe and effective for 3 uses. Here they are: a stimulant laxative for constipation, a skin protectant and moisturizer, and lastly, it's approved as a carrier oil, meaning that it's used to safely deliver other active ingredients, things like medications or cosmetics. Everything else that you see online, even if you see 1 million people saying, yeah, it worked for me too, it's not to say that it isn't true, but it hasn't been scientifically validated and it's not approved by the FDA. So therefore, you want to proceed with caution and use common sense and, always talk to your doctor first when in doubt. But honestly, if you're dealing with super duper dry skin and like the best lotion on the planet just doesn't seem like it's thick enough, castor oil.